Well, I confirmed with Milagro that he was going to be here earlier today, but he hasn't shown up yet. So hopefully he is only running a little bit late. Um, and Happy is demanding, I think, food. Uh, so I am going to put another 2 minute time down. So sorry about that. Well, this is awkward. So let me just explain who Milagro is. Um, so the UCLA protests. Milagro is a student at UCLA, graduating senior, and he took some videos of how the protesters were interfering really with campus, like normal campus functioning. And so his videos, I believe they were on Instagram or TikTok. I think it might be Instagram. I could look at his YouTube. I mean, not his YouTube. His here. I will pull up Cupid General. I will pull up his Twitter. I just hope they didn't get to him first. He went on several other places. Oops, sorry. Do. So this is his Twitter, and he has a GoFundMe going, and why did a viral attack on a non-Jewish UCLA student make him pro-Israel? Yeah, he's done a bunch of stuff. I think he's selling those Zionist shirts. I'm not sure. Let me see if that's him. It's not him. Yeah, so he went on campus and he very calmly asserted his rights to, as a student, to be where he wants to be in a public campus, and he's sounded like a really interesting guy. So I contacted him and I asked him if he would like to come and speak on this chat, and he said yes, and that was a couple of hours ago, and he's not here. Don't know if he's having technical issues or he just forgot. Yeah, the green room is like $5,000, and I'm not sure that would have helped. I mean, I suppose I could have just not started the stream until he showed up, but which would have been nice. I mean, I'm not saying the green room functionality isn't good, but yeah, I don't have $4,000 to spend on the green room. Frankly, if I really wanted a green room, I could probably set things up myself much cheaper to have a green room type environment with OBS and probably Discord. If you hook OBS into Discord, you basically you end up with a lot more control, because you can just have complete control over the screen. And then use the StreamYard functionality on top of that, mostly. But I like StreamYard. Hey, CW, you want to jump on? I have no clue what that's referring to. So how long do we wait for Milagro? Oh, here he goes. He's on his way. Milagro is on his way, so we will wait. How about... Oh, there's Milagro.
Joining with my phone, but I'm about to try to switch over to my computer. I've never used StreamYard, so it took me a while to figure out how to even get in.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, especially if you're using Apple products, it can be a little difficult.
Yeah, so
it's fine. Not a huge problem. That's why I gave you my cell phone.
Cool. So now that I'm in here, I want
to... You can use that same link and come on twice, and I'll just switch you. Yeah.
Okay.
So cool. Yeah, StreamYard's great. I'm a huge fan of StreamYard.
For real, this is my first time. I've never... So I I did a Discord stream for the first time recently, Skype. Let's see what I've been doing a bunch of stuff.
You're popular.
Yeah, I've been getting invited to a lot of stuff, so let's see.
I mean, I listened to some of the interviews and stuff you did, and you seem like a really interesting person. You mentioned like you had been saying the same things for a while and never gone viral before, and now suddenly gone viral. And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, after you seem like an interesting guy. So once you have it all figured out, I have a bunch of questions for you. Get to know you a little bit better. But yeah.
For sure. I think I almost got it. Let's see.
If you have Chrome is the best browser to use.
Okay. I think I'm about to enter on my computer.
Okay.
Right now. I'm gonna leave this one and go on the computer.
Okay.
All right. I got it figured out.
Hey, here you are. So Milagro, you are graduating. So I guess is your semester already over?
Nah, so I was on the semester system at my community college, but at UCLA we have the quarter system, so it's 10-week quarters, and so it ends in June at UCLA.
Okay, so you're a graduating senior at UCLA.
Yep.
You're an English major?
Yeah, I'm an English major with a concentration in creative writing, and I also am in the Mellon Mays undergraduate fellowship. So I do research on drill music as a unique form of African American gang literature, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
also in the departmental honors program, and I'm in the college honors program.
Wow, nice. Yeah, so I mean, I heard some of your stuff. Nice. I heard some of your interviews. You're going to LSU for a master's in creative writing, right?
Yeah, Master in Fine Arts in Creative Writing. So basically, I want to be somebody who gets into the MFA program, who's from the streets, who has a unique perspective. I want to write a book that's touching on some things that maybe your average author who's indoctrinated into the MFA program wouldn't really ever think to touch on. So I want to just do something different and use the craft of fiction as a medium for me to get my story out to another audience.
So you mentioned that you got your GED while you were in prison.
Yeah. So interesting thing about that is that there was a guy who was in there, and he was an older cat, and he could not get his GED after being in there for many years. So there was like an unspoken rule that when you came through there, you failed your GED the first time just out of respect for him. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and a GED, I had an indeterminate sentence, so it was 20 months to 10 years. So getting a GED was a requirement to go in front of the parole board and get my parole. So the teacher, Miss Bott, she was really on top of me, like, hey, I think you get the valedictorian award if you score high enough. And what ended up happening is I scored in the highest 2% of test takers everywhere across the nation, not just test takers within the prison system. And so when I got back, I definitely got some lumps. The homie was mad that I passed that GED. And so I had to take a little beating, but it was worth it. You know what I'm
saying? I get it. So yeah, I mean, you're obviously a very smart person who came from I don't even know what to call your background. What would you call your background?
So yeah, so my name is Milagro. That means miracle in Spanish. And by me, I was born into homelessness, born into poverty. Like when we was living in New York, some days it'd be just one bag of rice, sugar rice in the morning, adobe seasoning on the rice at night. We lived in homeless shelters, just getting on Greyhound buses, going to different battered women's shelters. My mom and my two brothers and me. And we also, lived in foster care sometimes when my mom would go into the mental institutions. She had bipolar disorder, paranoid schizophrenia, and she was physically disabled on crutches. So I grew up the rough life. I grew up seeing a lot of America. I lived in small predominantly white towns. I lived in inner city neighborhoods where it was predominantly Black. I lived in cities where it was more mixed. So I pretty much got to experience all the different flavors of poverty and struggle across America, which really, opened my eyes to a lot of things in this life of mine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned something about that. So for me, I came to the United States when I was 7.
Yeah.
And one of the things living in Los Angeles, so I've been living in Los Angeles ever since then.
Yeah.
One of the things that always amazed me was how broken the school system is.
Yeah.
Because like we have the Beverly Hills school district,
Yep.
which is where all the really rich, nice, all the rich kids go. And we have like Manual Arts High School. I don't know if you've ever been to Manual Arts High School is a dump.
Yep.
An absolute dump, right? And when you see, I mean, people in Los Angeles love to talk about the racism in the South and like in other places and like Republicans, and it's like, hold on, there are no Republicans here, right? This is all left wing, liberal Democrats. And I remember when I was in high school, I got to meet one of the well-known politicians here in Los Angeles, Mark Ridley Thomas, and I'm like,
yeah, I've had some interactions with him,
Yeah, and I'm like, hello, like, why aren't you like? It was at Manual Arts High School, and I'm like, why is this school just such a dump?
Right. Yeah, so I was actually the vice chair of the parent advisory committee of LAUSD for a while. I actually did tell Mark Ridley Thomas when I was the program assistant for youth services at Koreatown Youth and Community Center. I told Mark Ridley Thomas that his time was up, and the bracelets were coming. He was going to be in cuffs real soon. He was yapping about how nothing he was doing was illegal, and sure enough, he was in cuffs shortly later.
He's been really he's been arrested.
Oh, you didn't see he had them charges he was facing?
You know what? I used to be really into politics, and a few years ago, I kind of went.
He got his son. He got his son a little under the table deal over there at USC, and he got busted.
Okay. So, yeah, makes sense. I mean, right. I think I did hear something.
He went from the council to the board of supervisors, and
right.
I mean, he had it all set up. He just only thing is he didn't have integrity. Like a lot of these African American politicians that I rub elbows with, they're cool people. They just seem to think that because of our struggle and because of what we've been through, that means that when we get into these public servant positions, we can cut corners. And that's actually not how it works. As a matter of fact, because you do come from struggle, or you have ancestors that come from struggle, that should give you that much more integrity. That should give you that much more willingness to sacrifice and to dedicate. So it's really a shame. And just being a father here in Los Angeles, I had my daughter in a school at one point called Elysian Heights for her kindergarten. We were in the hood, but she never been to a hood school. Even then, I was getting her into the good schools and going on a bus super far, taking hours of my day to get her to somewhere nice. When I was in Downey, I was having her in Koreatown Youth and Community Center, Kidstown, and I had to push the stroller 6.5 hours, 14 something miles one day because I didn't have bus fare, but I still got her there. And when she was at Elysian Heights, Emilio Garza thought I was Latino because my name is Milagro, which is Spanish. And he had an open door meeting with me with the door wide open so the people behind us could hear, where he explained to me that the reason why they had that as a community magnet school, not a magnet school, is because they wanted to keep the Black kids in the projects from getting bussed in there. And they wanted to keep that as Latino and white as they could. And lo and behold, I'm not Latino, I'm African American and white. And I went back and shot some emails, and they covered it up real good. LAUSD didn't do much about it, but I took my daughter out of that school, got her into a better school, and now she's even in an even better school than that. She's in a gifted and talented program. But advocating for my daughter, it breaks my heart to see how many kids are here in LA that don't have someone like me as a parent advocating for them, and they end up stuck at them low performance schools. And when I was a kid, I was at low performance schools. And one time I took a standardized test in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in a low performance school. And the district reached out to me and said, you cheated on this test, because how could you get a 99 percentile, 99% of it, and you got, your homework isn't turned in, you're living in the slums, your school's low performance. So the school said, nah, I didn't cheat. They said, okay, the school cheated. They doctored the scores. The school denied it. They made me retake the test under supervision, and I passed it 100%. I had one wrong on the first time. I passed it 100%. I didn't study for this. This was just straight from the heart, straight from the head. And instead of helping me or putting me in a gifted and talented program or anything like that, they was mad at me for passing the test, for doing good, for trying to achieve. So it's really sad how the education system it's very segregated, even like you said, in the Democratic areas, in the liberal progressive
It's
areas.
especially those areas.
Yeah.
No, it's especially those areas. That's what kills me. So in Los Angeles, I mean, I went to USC and I was involved in community relations because I really did want to help the Black community in Los Angeles because you should want to help other people, right?
Right.
And what I noticed over and over again is my friends in the Black community in Los Angeles kind of had given up because they expected everybody to be a crook.
Right.
They expected all the leadership to be crooked, right? So like I mean, and you look at the prominent Black politicians in Los Angeles, they're all crooked.
Right.
They're all crooked, and they really, I mean, generally just they don't actually take care of things like the schools in the Black neighborhoods in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like you would think the Black neighborhoods in Los Angeles would have good schools, and they don't. They have horrible schools.
Yeah, and that sucks because my daughter's Black and she doesn't get to be around a lot of other Black kids because you know, it would be a disservice to her to put her into those schools and to be around her peers and her culture just because they're failing those kids. And for me, I've taken a stance of like, you know, trying to get away from the hood, trying to get out the hood, whereas some have said like, you know, you should stay in the hood and try and improve it. But when I do see these politicians, I call them out every time. I'll come from the streets where everybody's a crook. And so when you coming from that background, when you get around the politicians and people, you know, at least for me, I guess maybe I'm naive, but I was expecting and maybe hoping that, you know, they would be a little bit better than us street dudes. I was hoping they would have some better intentions. And it reminds me of the movie Despicable Me because I'm the villain. So why am I the one, you know, doing the right thing and my heart opening up and I feel like I got to do these things and I'm supposed to be the villain. I'm the street cat. I'm the dude who, you know, juvie, jail, prison, felony on my record. Like I'm the one that y'all blame and point the finger at. You follow me around when I'm in the store. You know, when I every relationship I've been in, you know, they family reject me. Like, oh, we don't want our daughter with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, pick anyone other than him. You know, so it's just crazy to me that then I meet these middle class and upper class people and they don't give a damn about helping out the folks in the streets. And I'm just like, come on now, we got to do better, yo. And if not, I don't know. So I guess it starts with me. I guess it's like that Michael Jackson song, Man in the Mirror. I can't keep pointing the finger at these people because I'm pointing three right back at myself. I got to just work on self-improvement and growth and development and making sure that I could be a better person and day by day just try to be more of a role model. I know Tupac said, I'm not a role model, I'm a real model. But I think being a real model is to actually model yourself after something that can inspire others. Like whether Barack Obama was a good dude or a bad dude, his politics was good or bad, he put on a suit and a tie and he stood up with them white folks and he did something. And when I was in prison, I read The Audacity of Hope. And when I got out, I went to Goodwill and got me a suit and a tie. And that's how a felon was able to get into city hall and have a job in city hall with a felony on my record. And they never even asked about my record because they looked at me in that suit and tie, code switching up that I had to, and assumed I was one of them. And I was in a break room. Hey, Joe. Hey, Bill. But I'm leaving and I'm going in the Red Arrow Park to sleep in the park because I'm homeless. My daughter's in a crisis nursery and they think I'm in the suburbs with them. So, you know, you just got to do what you got to do to survive. And I can't, unfortunately, I haven't written the manual. I don't have the self-help book. I don't have everything I need yet. But the goal is for me to lift myself up and then I can start reaching back into the hood and lifting others up and actually be, you know, like a beacon of light for my community and actually help other brothers who are stuck in the gangs, you know, brothers that are stuck into the drug addiction, the alcoholism, like all these different leaders in the past that I looked up to. They all created programs to reach back and help in the hood. And I don't know how they did it because they were struggling at the time. But I can't, as a single father, balance being a single father, balance, you know, prospering for myself and do that. I got to do one at a time and try to, you know, pivot and focus and prioritize. So, yeah.
So, okay, I have to, first of all, I have to say, I have to introduce you to a line of Black thinkers who I think have actually been doing really good work in the Black community, which includes Roland Fryer, Thomas Sowell, John McWhorter, Glenn Lowry. if you have not looked into these guys,
I've watched Thomas Sowell. I've watched Thomas Sowell. I'm glad I've watched Thomas Sowell. I watched him recently because you know, there's a lot of I was in the AmeriCorps program, Public Allies, and they do anti-oppression trainings, and you know, it helped me to foster that, you know, victim mentality, because I got some handouts, but it doesn't help in the long run. It'll get you something quick, but then you're stuck. Once you break out of that environment and you get around your other peers that are doing better, you feel less than them. You feel like I'm the victim. And so all that leftism, victim stuff, it was messing with my head. Getting into UCLA, I'm around brothers that we're finishing our conversation and they hop in a Porsche Carrera. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hopping on the bus. I'm like, oh, I'm such a victim. You know, the man is holding me down, and you know, I got it so bad. And I started watching some Thomas Sowell videos, and I was like, you know what? This brother is absolutely right about, I don't know the statistics and the data and the algorithms he used, but he's giving you some inspiration. It's like Charlemagne the God. He got this book called Black Privilege that a lot of Black people hated on, because he's not telling you you're a victim. He's saying that as a Black man, you're amazing. You know, you can accomplish anything. He's saying I'm from South Carolina in the middle of nowhere place, and look, I'm on iHeartMedia on the Breakfast Club. You can do it too. So I right at the moment where I'm at in life, I like that kind of messaging. I like messaging that's going to make me feel pride in myself. That's going to make me feel like I'm equal to anybody else. That's going to make me feel like I can accomplish. I can become an entrepreneur. I can build something. I can, you know, bridge gaps. I can work with other communities. And it's not just about, whoa is me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely I'm breaking out of that mentality. Definitely.
I forgot to mention Coleman Hughes. You've heard of Coleman Hughes?
No, the only person you listed that I know of is Thomas Sowell. If you send me that list, I'll definitely check it.
I will definitely send you the list, but the one person you definitely should check out is Coleman Hughes, because he, unlike those guys, they're established, they're older, and they have a great body of work. Coleman Hughes, he is a very young man. I think he's only like 25 years old. And he is a genius. He is an absolute genius. I have so much respect for this man. And he was on The View, and one of the hosts tried attacking him. And he did a lot of what you did, which made you go viral, which is he was just confident. And, you know, that type of quiet confidence you have when, you know, like, no, I'm not afraid of you. Right. And so your videos, that's what I saw, which was like, you know, I'm not afraid of you. Mm-hmm. I know my rights. I know who I am. I know I'm right. And so you can, and you know, that's what I really loved about your videos. Mm-hmm. So that quiet confidence you had, and I know you mentioned, you know, your brother was going to come, and so you also, it wasn't just you alone, because I think despite all of the bad things you've mentioned, you know, you have a really strong relationship with your daughter. You have a really strong relationship with your brother.
Hey, my brother just got here to LA a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
So the timing was perfect. If that had popped off and my brother's in Skid Row right now, you know what I'm saying? He's in Skid Row. He's working a security job. He came out here with nothing, and he's trying to get on his feet. And if he wasn't here, I don't know, because I called UCPD first and I asked them, can I defend myself? They shoving me. They doing it. Nope. They said, nope, you can't. You cannot defend yourself. If you do anything, then you'll be the one charged. So if my brother didn't show up, I don't know what I would have did. So I don't know. It's timing. My brother's telling me that he's into numerology and stuff. So he's telling me that this is an 8-year, which is pretty dope. Because then I found out that in the number 18 in Hebrew, it represents life. Yeah. So I don't know. The number 8 just been crazy. But my number's 911. I want the Porsche 911. You know what I'm saying? So that's my number. Like one day I want to push that joint, even if it's just a test drive. You know what I'm saying? So.
You know, I'm actually not very far from the UCLA campus. I would love to meet you. You seem like a great guy. You mentioned you had a Section 8 voucher and UCLA wouldn't take it.
So I've lost over 30,000 in this fiasco. So here's the thing. I came to LA with $40, carry-on bags, my 3-year-old daughter. We came through portability. So basically I'm in Milwaukee. I got a Section 8 voucher from working in city government. I was in the National Youth Forum on Homelessness. I figured out the whole homelessness thing. I come out here thinking I'm good. The portability program will have my Section 8 voucher at the Housing Authority in like maybe 6 months. I'll figure things out until then. There was a holdup with the Section 8 voucher. Okay, cool. I'll figure things out till then. So I go to the Homeless Outreach Program Integrated Care Services. They had some motel vouchers. Beth Maritza, the case manager, is like, oh, sorry. Even though we have motel vouchers for you as a survivor of domestic violence with a child who's a survivor of child abuse, you got all the documentation, court orders, everything. Yeah, sorry, not going to help you. You can go to Skid Row. She said, I don't like helping men in your situation. I only like helping women in your situation. I went to this domestic violence center here in LA, and the owner was this white woman who told me that I'm not a victim. Even though I got the charges, the paperwork, everything, she at a restraining order, she like, oh no, you're not a victim. If anything, you're the victimizer. And I'm just like, yo, that's wild. So they sent me to Skid Row. I figured out Skid Row. I end up at the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority on a whim. I'm walking around downtown and something just tell me like, go in this building. I don't hear voices or nothing, but something just tell me go in this building. I go in the building. The security's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, I don't even know. I need to be here. And he's like, the directory's over there. I go to the directory, Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority. I shoot upstairs. Dude is like, what are you doing in our building? This is the administrative building. This is not for the services. And I'm looking bummy. Yeah, you could tell I'm homeless at the time. So I just had got my daughter into a daycare. So I'm looking for resources and employment and stuff. And I just tell my whole story to him. And he's like, bro, this is unbelievable. Hoppick sent you to Skid Row and they have vouchers right now. We're knowing they have them and they're supposed to give them to y'all. He get on the phone with his boss. His name was Jose Mata. He get on the phone with his boss. His boss get on the phone with Beth Maritza's boss. They have a little hour-long conversation. My daughter get out of daycare. A van pick us up, take us to a motel in Downey, California. So from Downey, California, I get a job at Koreatown Youth and Community Center, and I started working there. You know, worked my way up from South LA. I was in the Central Alameda Neighborhood Council to get in community college. Got out of the hood, moved to East Hollywood. In East Hollywood, I got my Section 8 voucher set up. I'm in and a lawsuit happened to get over there. So it wasn't just like it's other stuff that happened. So I get into my East Hollywood apartment. I'm cool. I get into UCLA. UCLA housing tells me we got guaranteed housing. You and your daughter moving here. You can use your Section 8 voucher here. I get my stuff moved in, which the movers even ripped me off. So I had to take a $500 loan from somebody who was nice enough to give it to me. So the movers even ripped me off. And then I finally get into the spot. I've given all the paperwork for Section 8. And they're like, oh, sorry, the UC just passed a new policy where you can't use Section 8. And I'm like, yeah, and they put this in writing. This is how crazy they are. So I'm like, well, you know that's a violation of the amendment to the Fair Housing Act that was passed in 2020 by current county supervisor Holly Mitchell, who at the time was a state senator. So they're just like, yeah, well, we don't care. You know, we got rid of UC. We'll do whatever we want. So I go to the California Department of Civil Rights. About 6 months later, a fight in my case, we mediate. In the mediation, they agreed to accept my Section 8 voucher. At this time, it's already been like $20,000 that I would have had, you know, saved up for grad school that they done took. How did they did me? So once that happened, they end up saying, okay, we'll pay $10,000, and the settlement agreement will create a policy that will never do this to anyone in the future. We'll create a listing on our website. So even to this day, right now, they refuse to follow the settlement agreement. They owe me over $2,000. They just took out of my financial aid illegally, apologized about doing it, admitted it was wrong, had student accounts call me and the housing people call me, and yet they haven't returned the money. So UCLA has the entire time just screwed me over from every angle. And you can, if you see this story that they did on me with Spectrum News, I didn't flip it around on them. I said, I talked about the brewing values. You know, I try to make it a positive because I thought we could still fix this. We could still move forward and do something positive, but they just won't. They won't do something positive. In fall 2022, me and a Muslim student filed a complaint against Professor Blake Almendinger. He stood in front of the class. He did a caricature and said, "Oy vey, I wandered in the desert for 40 years. Oy vey, I survived the Holocaust. All I do is complain." Me and a Muslim student filed a DPO complaint against him. It ended up being a Title IX complaint. It was just the formal complaint was just finished on May 2nd. That means for 2 years, UCLA refused to finish a 90 to 120 day complaint so they could cover up anti-Semitism at the campus. And even today, this is a tenured professor who is at UCLA right now, who is teaching classes, interacting with students. And it was a Jewish student in our class who had to be subjected to that. So me speaking about anti-Semitism now, it's been a long time coming. Back when I spoke about it in 2022, When I posted on Reddit about it, I had to shut my Reddit page down and go to therapy because the whole school was piling on me, saying, how dare you speak against Blake Allmendinger? You see the LA Times article about him. He's such a great person. Who cares what he said about those people? Blah, 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 blah. Conspiracy theory about Jewish people, everything throwing in my face. So I'm like, I didn't have a platform. I didn't have a voice. So it's been a long time coming that the world is finally seeing that UCLA been an environment that was full of anti-Semitism. It's nothing new. It's nothing new.
Yeah. No, so your story reminds me a lot of what Roland Fryer, who's he's black economics professor at Harvard, and he was put on a 2-year suspension on some bullshit thing, right? Just because he wasn't towing the line. And I heard him talk with Barry Weiss. I'll send you the interview where he's like, I'm here at Harvard, and he's from the hood. He's from a background that's like nothing like Harvard, right? And he's like, because I didn't know, I just assumed that when people said they wanted to help Black people, they meant it. So like, and when they said they had all these values, right? That they really were saying it. So I took them for the word, and that's when they all lost their minds. And it sounds like a lot of what you're saying is very similar in that, you generally you're like, hey, okay, it's not fair. So let's not do this to people. Like if you're a victim of domestic violence, because, and I actually, so I'm getting my master's in social work right now, and I work at domestic violence shelters, and you're absolutely right. Like we have, it's almost only for women, even though there's a lot of men who get abused. And I understand, like at our shelters, look, you have to have unisex shelters, right? But some of the people have this idea that no, the guy's always the aggressor, and it's like, no, that's just not true. A lot of abusers are women.
Right. I mean, me personally, I was raised, don't put your hands on a woman, period. Even if she hitting you first. And I know some dudes ain't going for that, but that's just how I was raised. And then being a big fan of Tupac, he got the keep your head up, dear mama, Brenda's got a baby. So I always was like, putting the woman on the pedestal and making sure that, no matter how far it goes, I'm turning the other cheek and walking away. And when you got a kid in that environment and you getting hit in front of your kid, I mean, the first time charges was pressed against my ex-wife, I went to the DA and dropped the charges and let her free. And that ended up making it even worse because that emboldened her. So like, it's just crazy how, even when I went to finally get services, they would be on the phone with somebody. This lady was on the phone with somebody, and I'm trying to get my services, and she on the phone gossiping with her friend, like, you won't believe this dude that's in front of me and what he's saying, and like making fun of the fact that I am in there to get domestic violence services while I'm like, in this frontline staff, I'm like, yo, it's just too crazy. I'm like, yo, this is wild, yo. Like the stuff I documented on my phone, that's not even the half of it. Like the world seen the minusculous things of what I seen here in LA. Like when I was in South LA, we had Shia LaBeouf coming to Slosh and Wreck and create a Slosh and Wreck theater company, and him and Jada Smith raised $40K one time in the name of this community and didn't give a penny to the community. So as Central Alameda Neighborhood Council Secretary, I had to work with the president, Alfredo Gama, and make it so that Shia LaBeouf and his people all showed up to a hearing with the elders of the community, the children of the community, the OGs, everybody. And he had to give an explanation to the community. And he apologized. And he talked about his rough childhood. And he was Echo Park before it was Echo Park and all the different stuff. And then he turned around and didn't give none of the money to the community. So
Right.
like in one of my videos, they was like, "Yeah, you're being a bad actor." They were like, we know what you're doing. You're being a bad actor." I was like, "A bad actor like Shia LaBeouf?" You know what I'm saying? I was just throwing a little sneak diss in there to him because it's still on my mind to this day. Like, bro, Shia LaBeouf did the Community bogus. He went and shot a movie over there called The Tax Collector and promised gangsters everything you can imagine. I'm gonna get you on Netflix. I'm gonna have you doing this. I'm gonna have you doing this. I don't know if he was chiefing or if he was putting something in his nose, but he was promising everything and the house. And then in the articles that came out around the same time, come to find out after he was cosplaying in the hood, he was going home and putting his hands on FKA twigs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, bro, you was in the hood exploiting, then you was exploiting the shorty, then you got the clean cut image to the world, and you're gonna do your next movie and pop off, and you doing the little, so I got a little bit of chip on my shoulder against that cat. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk. And it's a lot of stuff like that I done seen in LA. A lot of stuff that's not what you see in the movies, it's not what you see on the TV. It's really crazy how, like, even with the shorties in South LA that's working like Maquila daughters in Mexico, they're working in these little sweatshops, a lot of them without papers and stuff, and they getting exploited. It's basically modern day slavery. And I've talked to them, and they tell us, like the community members, that unless we organize, y'all can't save us, y'all can't help us. Like, we're gonna have to do this, and they're not doing it. So it just like, man, we got some real issues in this city that's under the surface, that's not being addressed. Even here where I live at, all over the city. And so like me, I'm just glad I got a little bit of a platform, because now, one issue at a time, I can, pick something and address it at least a little bit. Whereas before, I'm just talking to myself about it. I'm just going crazy talking to my therapist about it.
Yeah. No, I hear you 100%. And this is part of, so I'm 46, so I'm a lot older than a lot of the people I end up talking to. And so what I get is a lot of younger people, they're like, oh, it's worse than it ever was before. We have more corruption. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. Now, every single person has a camera in their pocket. When I was growing up, right, nobody had a camera in their pocket, right? And so now,
except for the dudes that witnessed the Rodney King beating.
Well, that's when it started with, I remember the Rodney King, like I was in high school when that happened, right? And that was, now suddenly we had video cameras at home, right? Home cameras and stuff. And you could take, it was small enough, you could take videos. But now with so much recording so we have a lot more information, and it's possible for somebody like you to go, to go viral like you did. Mm-hmm. And you have the receipts, right? Because it used to be I could say all kinds of, like, I had an encounter with LAPD, and I could tell that over and over again, and I tried to take it. I took it all the way to the inspector's office, and they just told me. Now I went to USC Law School. I didn't graduate, but I went to USC Law School, and they told me, no, you didn't understand what you were doing because I went and filed a complaint on a police officer, mm-hmm. and they just threw it away. Now, under a consent decree, every time somebody comes in to file a complaint, LAPD, at least at the time, was required to record every complaint, like with an audio recording, so that they couldn't bullshit whatever I was writing, right?
Right.
They didn't. So the sergeant I spoke to didn't record it at all, and didn't file the complaint, right? So just that should have been enough. But the Inspector General's report came back. Yeah, you misunderstood what happened when you went in to file a complaint. I'm like, F you. Like, mm-hmm. And you're doing that to somebody who went to USC Law School, right? What are you doing to everybody else who, like, doesn't know their rights as well as I do?
Oh yeah. You already know what they're doing. Like, I know the LA sheriff's deputies. It was this little shorty that she went to community college with me. She ended up coming through the hood when I was in South LA, and she was turning up. She had a whole list. She called it her whole list. So she was she was picking a new dude every day. You know what I'm saying? And just so happened she at one point in time she picked me, and it wasn't my shorty, it's just my turn. So her uncle was LASD, her family was all plugged in. So bro ended up the LASD sheriff ended up breaking into my crib. He ended up sending with his official LASD email stuff to the Central Alameda Neighborhood Council, and he tried to go in on me. So I filed a complaint, you know, all the racial stuff he was doing, because he was super racist. Like
Right.
I'm half black, and I don't even look black to a lot of people that first meet me. So when him and his family first met me, they thought I was Latino because of my name. So they was asking shorty like in Spanish, and I heard the word that they was asking what I was, and I heard her say blanco, and they was, oh yeah, you know, loving me and my daughter. And then I heard her say negro. They was asking what I was mixed with, and once she said that, they was like, you know, one of them had a let me see how he had his gun, and you know, they let me know like, you're not welcome here. And I'm like, bro, this is like the Wild West, like Capulets and Montagues from Shakespeare. So I'm like, bro, what is this? Like, and I end up having bro found guilty. He was found guilty of breaking into my home, using the racial slurs, everything, investigated by LASD. And by him being found guilty, he got a warning. I had the LAPD stop me and my daughter for walking down the street in Los Feliz because it looked suspicious that I'm walking with my daughter. Why is this black man walking with a child? Yeah. So they stopped me. They take my daughter from me and try to question her. She was like 6. They try to question the 6-year-old without her parent or a lawyer present. And then it went to the city attorney's office for the city attorney to mediate. And all they gonna tell me is like, well, you know, officers have kids too, and you know, they were concerned for your kids. So if your civil rights have to get violated for them to make sure the kid is okay, then you know that happens sometimes. So it's like, you know how they get down. They get down and dirty in the men's central jail. They get down and dirty in the hood. They be in the hood having 18 different LASD gangs, or they just be popping people for gang initiations and then after they pop somebody for a gang initiation, they terrorize the family, and it was documented, and it was all in the news. Shorty Cerise Castle had all the stories. She went to the Breakfast Club with it and everything. And what happened? Slap on the wrist. Don't do that again. When you can go out and indiscriminately kill people, and then you get a don't do that again, that's how you know you living in some chaos and confusion right there. Right. Like, you the gangs, and you telling the gangs to stop gang banging, but you the gangs too. So I mean, for me, that let me know that I can't fight fire with fire. The only way I could fight back in this world that we live in is peace and love. Like, I'm partnering with an organization that's PEACE, and the acronym is peace, and I'm partnered with an organization that love is the movement. So it just coincidentally that I'm representing love and peace in a world filled with hate. And the orgs that's reaching out to me is named Love and Peace. Like, that to me let me know that's what's gonna win. Love is gonna win. Peace is gonna win. Truth and justice is gonna win. All the violence and the hate and trying to out macho man, that's not gonna win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I mean, it is amazing. And when you learn more about the history of Los Angeles Police Department and Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and the amount of corruption in cities like Los Angeles, right? And yeah, the brunt of it goes on the Black community and the Hispanic community. And what you were saying about like those, you know, the sweatshops and the illegal immigrants, right? So they bring, there's a reason they want illegal immigration, not legal immigration, right? Like, this is Congress, which is like, no, we want people coming in illegally because they want to have them in that second status. Like, legally, they're not full citizens. They don't have their full rights, so that they can use them for their cheap labor and stuff like that. Right. And you're right. It is obviously, it's not like chattel slavery, but it is a form of servitude, which isn't exactly, you know, it's these people are, if you're going to import people from Mexico, and I'm an immigrant, I came to this country. I am very grateful for being allowed into this country, right? But if you're going to let somebody into your country to come live with you, right? Give them their rights there, so that they don't have to take jobs under the table and stuff like that, where they're being abused. But this is on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
it's on purpose that they're
Yeah,
doing
like
it.
you know, in ancient Rome, they had a Caesar who made it so everyone who came in became a Roman. So whatever you was before, you're not that anymore. You were Roman, and it
Right.
didn't matter where you was coming from. You became a Roman.
Mhm.
And you know, and unfortunately, when I got a homegirl who's from Honduras, and she escaped the violence when she was only a teenager who had a child. So she's a teenager when she came. She had a child. She entered. She had to be in them, you know, them little metal blanket, them little tinfoil blanket things
Yeah.
in them little cells that they keep kids in. She went from there to being with a host family, from a host family. When she ended up in LA, this how vulnerable she was. She was so vulnerable that when she had a birthday, a rich millionaire here in LA who has a nonprofit to help the people who are immigrants, and who's also a writer in Hollywood. His net worth is like 17 mil. His wife is like 9 mil. One of their parents is a billionaire who the only time you look him up, he just gonna be in the news for buying like one of the most expensive houses in Manhattan Beach, stuff like that. He ended up taking her under his wing. And when he took her under his wing, it's like he asking to adopt her child. He said instead of sending her daughter to public school, like my daughter in public school, he made his own school and would just take her daughter on trips around different places. And they trying to convince me like this is normal and this is cool for this man to be taking a vulnerable immigrant's child daughter, who's my daughter's age, off all over these places, and having just her like isolated with him all the time, asking to adopt her separately from the mother. Like, you know, it's really messed up when you create these environments where people are this vulnerable. Because I know when I was vulnerable and I was on the streets, old men would try to pull up and pick me up if I'm on the streets with some bags trying to sell a couple nicks or dimes. And homies, you know, they even say it. Malcolm X did it when he was Detroit Red. Homies will ended up selling themselves just to survive on the streets.
Yeah.
If they hustle ain't working, they body end up being the only thing left to sell. And they'll point the cameras out in the third world countries where this stuff is going on, but it's going on right here in the United States of America, and people just turning a blind eye to it. People want to talk about the transatlantic slave trade and the Arab slave trade. If you look at the modern global slavery index, it's more slaves in the world today than it's ever been, and
Yeah.
a lot of them right here in the United States of America.
Yeah.
So as long as we living in this la fantasy land and not addressing none of these issues, and all we worried about is just, you know, our appetites and our desires, it's only going to get worse. And every year that passing by is people whose lives is being lost. Like my whole look that I'm rocking right now, it's inspired by an artist named Hella Sketchy. And this artist had talent, he had goals, he was young, he was doing his thing, and unfortunately he overdosed here in Los Angeles because someone gave him, you know, the wrong type of drugs. They got the fentanyl crisis, all this other stuff, and he had the toxicology reports where he had the wrong combination of drugs. So it's a lot of issues that we could be addressing, but we gotta, I think, you know, start these initiatives and get real and get honest and admit that there are real problems, and admit that people like me who come from nothing, our voices need to be included. We got the LA Continuum of Care, and they want to address homelessness. Is getting worse every year because you don't never work with the people that's homeless, and not just give them a token position, not just give them a little position where they get to use their lived experience to talk to other homeless people. No, let them back in the room where the decisions are being made, and let them give some real input and give them a real check like y'all are getting. Get them the same respect that y'all are getting, because that lived
They don't
experience.
want, okay, that they don't want. So when, I mean, the word token you use is very correct, right? And I see this a lot, is where they claim, oh, we want to hear from so and so people, right? But that's a way of them controlling the narrative and saying, oh, well, now I can choose among, right, and I get to pick the token, the person who's the representative. And if that person doesn't say what I want them to say, I'll go pick somebody else.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
it's not actually about listening, and it's not actually about including stakeholder, because none of these people have a stake in the communities they talk about, right? That, like, Maxine Waters isn't living down where in her district.
Right.
She's not going to do that because she like, her car would get broken into, and that's not acceptable, right?
I mean, even Rosa Parks got robbed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You're right.
hey, they got pictures. I don't know if this is Photoshop or AI, but they got pictures on social media showing that Rosa Parks and her husband had some money, and they actually had a car. It makes you ask the question: if Rosa Parks and her husband had a car, why was she riding the bus that day? Was her husband? No, just listen. Was her husband just making her ride the bus, or were there other civil rights activists before her who had already been arrested for riding the bus? And did they kind of, set that up in a way to make her be that person?
No,
and that's internet stuff. So I don't have no sources.
No. Rosa Parks. I mean, she talked about it herself. No, the fact is, Martin Luther King and Thurgood Marshall and Rosa Parks. These people, they actually did. They strategically did things like getting into trouble and stuff, and that's where I think a lot of people misunderstand. Because nowadays, I mean, I'm sure you've seen on Twitter, there's a lot of people who are like, oh, these protests are staged. Well, of course protests are staged. That's why you protest. You're creating a certain environment. You're trying to create a certain look because you're trying to make something happen.
Right.
The problem isn't that you're intentionally trying to do it. If it's a problem if you're doing it the way you're doing it is illegal, and that's one of the things you talked about. And the problem is, what are you actually trying to accomplish?
But I say even that is really, it really to me boiled down to like tribalism or what side you on, because realistically, like let's say a bunch of homies from the hood that I'm cool with, that are my homies, if they do a protest and they was doing something illegal, now depends how illegal it's getting. There's been times when I've went in between the homies and said, hey, now okay, you're going too far, leave bro alone, don't do that. And I've been made fun of for doing that, but that's still something I've done. But there's been other times where the homies are doing something and I've just been like, oh well. So I feel like if you with your tribe, if you with your group, you'll let them get away with certain things that they shouldn't be getting away with. And then if someone else does that same thing to you, you're gonna start hollering. So for me, I feel like the only reason that things are the way they are with me is because I was solo dolo. They was deep, 20, 30 deep. And they came against me thinking it was going to be sweet. And me coming from the hip hop generation, I've seen the Ja Rule 50 Cent beef play out, the 50 Cent Game beef play out, all the Rick Ross had, I watched and studied all of those beefs. So when you start beefing with me, I'm going to use what I had. All I had was this phone. That's all I had. Right. So that's all I had to use. And I was expecting maybe 200 people, 200. I'm going to let 200 people see what's going on. And that's what I was expecting. Nah, more than 2 million people ended up seeing what's going on. So at the end of the day, it's really just in a big picture, all these big issues that are going on, I probably won't be able to solve even one or make even a drop of a difference in one in my lifetime. But out of my background, out of my squad, GMB, ENT, they say I'm the minister of information. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the muscle. I'm not the brains. I'm not all these other things. I'm not the.
Oh no, you're pretty smart. You're pretty smart.
Yeah, but I'm not the brain. But I'm the minister of information. Yeah. So I'm gonna go out here and get the information out. And just as they predicted, the information got out. So I'm playing my role as minister of information very well. I got the information out that I wanted out to the public, and now it's building me a platform to continue getting the information out. Now it's time to see can I strategize with my day ones, and can we come up with a way to get each and every one of them their own platform, and we can work together to build something solid, to build something strong, and ally with who we need to ally with to make that a reality. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's incredibly important. I mean, that's one of the things I've been really big on. So if you look at my channel, I'm not the only person who streams on my channel. Even though most of the people who look at my channel, I mean, I have a small channel. I only have 1,000 subscribers. But even though most of the people who look at my channel aren't from Los Angeles, I very much focus on Los Angeles. We're just going to have a meetup later this month for whoever wants to come. You're definitely invited. But, to have... But it's really important to have, if it's just you, it's not going to go anywhere. Right. It has to, no, people have this idea of individuals, great individuals, right? And they think that those people did things by themselves, and it's just not true.
Right,
I mean,
right.
when you look in history, like Thomas Edison, yeah, you might think, oh, he was really smart, or Albert Einstein, he was really smart. But when you look at it, you see that they had to actually have community and other people.
Albert Einstein had a little bit too much community. Him and his cousin was a little bit too close, man.
Oh, I didn't hear about this. I didn't know about this.
But
But
he married his cousin, man.
oh well, okay.
He was on an Edgar Allan Poe.
That used to be a lot more common, especially. I mean, I have to say I'm Jewish, and my family tree crosses over in all kinds of ways that is not healthy.
I hope you don't got no viewers from Alabama. They mad right now.
because like it was a very small community, and people didn't travel as much. So I have to say, like being people sometimes like don't understand. Like, yeah, I'm inbred. I'm not proud of it, but like, and now the Jewish community, people are not marrying cousins like they used to, thank God. But like it used to be a lot more common. But okay, before I let other people in, I also don't know how much time you have. So anytime you want to go, you can go.
Yeah, I still got like another 30 minutes.
Okay, great. But there are people.
I'm gonna grab a water though.
Did I lose you?
No, it just glitched for a second. But I'm gonna grab a bottle of water real quick.
Okay, you do that. Okay. I will post the link in a few minutes. I have one more question I want to ask Milagro when he gets back. Yeah, and then if people want to jump on to talk. So Milagro, one of the things you said which really struck a chord with me was you said, you're at UCLA, it's really nice, and you saw people who were acting kind of thuggish, gangsterish, and you're like, no, I don't want you doing that with this really nice community that I'm here at UCLA. And that just really resonated with me. So if you could talk about like what you saw about their behavior, which made you think, okay, no, you're ruining something really beautiful here.
Yeah, so basically, when I used to live on Trade 7 and Locust, 37th and Locust Street in the north side of Milwaukee, when my grandma, she was living on the Foes on like 48th, and she moved to Trade 7. I helped her move all her stuff in there, and I stayed with her for a while. And when she moved in, it was a nice little spot. It was peaceful. It was by Sherman Park. I was enjoying it. And then this gang, BDA, About That Action, started taking over. And sure enough, by the time they had fully taken over, homies would pull in to buy some weed and get shot. If my homies would come on the block, they would get eyes on them, and next thing you know, someone would come through with a ski mask and stick them up. One time I was in a trap house, and it was an 8-year-old playing with the gun, and they told him, they was joking around, telling him like, yeah, just pop Milagro. And bro was about to try to pop me for real. And I had to get up out of there. And it was just like the same 8-year-old, he was breaking into cars and houses and stuff. Like, I just watched that community go downhill and turn into a place where you was afraid to even be on the block, where if you're not a civilian that's just driving in and out and going to work, you a target. So I saw in my own lifetime how things can get really bad really quick, and it didn't change until the police chief Edward Flynn got some outside funding and had an operation where he indicted these dudes. And so when I was going to UCLA, starting off, safest place I ever seen. I didn't see no fist fights, wasn't no gunshots happening. I looked up Westwood history. Come to find out, it wasn't even a gang-related shooting there since like the 80s, when this Asian lady got popped over there by like the Crips when they missed, and she was a casualty, a crossfire. So I was like, yo, this is crazy safe. And the homelessness issues getting a little bad, but it's somewhere where you can kind of just, they sit in the grass. They sit in the grass and just like lay there like they're having a picnic or something, just in the middle of the day. Like, it's nice. So I was enjoying the peace, and the SJP posted the day after they got kicked out of USC. They posted on their socials like, we're gonna regroup at UCLA. So I'm already peeping like, oh nah, bro, y'all not coming to UCLA. They got there on the 25th. I ran into them on the 26th. Try to show them some love, try to be cool with them. But sure enough, they was posting up just like the gangs. What do the gangs do when they take over your neighborhood? They tell you who can walk where. They decide who gets to walk where. They become the police. They become the judge. They become every part of law enforcement, and they start enforcing their own new list of rules. So when I saw them with their own new list of rules, when I saw them checking people in, that's gang language. You got to check in with homie if you want to come to the block. They telling people who want to come through, you got to check in. You have to denounce other affiliation. If you was Jewish and you wanted to go into spaces, you had to denounce Zionism. This sound like real gang affiliation to me. It was real thuggish rugged bone. Yeah, it was real thuggish rugged bone.
It's the exact same social dynamics, and you are 100% right to see it that way. That is exactly what they were doing, and so for me the same thing. So I came from a different country. I came from Iran, and it was a war zone. It was a literal war zone there, right? And so when we came to the United States and I saw how much nicer it is, right? So Andrew's a friend of mine. He lives in Los Angeles. He used to go to UCLA.
Bruins in the chat. El Drizzy BBL's in the chat.
And so when I came to the United States and I saw it was so much nicer, right? And it was so good. For me, it was a big thing. Like, why is the United States so much better than the country I came from?
Mm-hmm.
And it really was when I started seeing things becoming like Iran, becoming tribalistic, becoming uncivilized, right? And I was like, no, I don't want American civilization, which I saw as being so beautiful, turning uncivilized like it is in Iran.
Right.
Yeah. So Andrew, what do you want to say for yourself?
I don't know, nothing revolutionary. I gotta ask, what major you go into?
What major am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to take statistics 4 times to pass. You can only take it 3 times at community college. I had a petition to take it a 4th time. So I knew I wasn't going to be a STEM major. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they told me like do AFAM. Everybody said do African American Studies, and I'm like, bro, I'm not doing AFAM just because I'm black, man. Like, so I did English because I think that's probably the whitest thing you can possibly do, and I wanted to be the black dude who can break into that space and do it a little bit different, which I think I've done a pretty good job of. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I focus on English with a concentration in creative writing.
So Andrew's one of those smart Asian kids. He got into UCLA and he was a chemical engineering major, getting A's in all his physics classes and stuff, and then he suddenly drops out.
And then he started a Bitcoin company on it. I had a homie named Devin. Shout out Devin Conopa. I had a homie that he took mommy and daddy's money to go to college and started a Bitcoin company, Chiron Coin, CHIRON, Chiron Coin.
Yeah. Hey, I spent so much money on college that if I had put it in Bitcoin or anything, it would
be a billionaire, man. Be a billionaire. Forget about complaining about politicians. You be buying them yourself. You have about 3 of them in your pocket right now.
Yeah. How old is your daughter?
She's 9. So my daughter, she got a book on Amazon. It's an ebook called The TV by Lydia Jones. She's in The Gifted and Talented. She's working on her 2nd book, but this one's not going to be an ebook. We're going to get her a real publisher. We're going to query it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, yeah. My daughter, man, she a little genius. Unfortunately, you know what I'm saying? Her hair is not done right now, so she ain't been on the camera lately because the older black women gonna scold me if they see me having my daughter on the camera with her hair not looking good. So I'm gonna take her to get her hair done, and then she gonna be appearing in some videos soon. You know what I'm
saying? Okay, that's nice. Yeah. So, are you moving out to Louisiana for LSU?
Hey, right now that's the plan. If something else, if something else opens up in LA that ends up being astronomically better, then I guess I'll pivot. But right now the plan is to go to grad school at LSU, write my manuscript, get my book out here, and then see what's next after that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's one of the things, moving around is one of the things that I think so. Staying in the same place is really can be really a good thing for a kid. So
Yo,
I understand.
if I could keep her here, I applied to 21 schools. I only got accepted to one. I applied
Really?
to USC, UCLA, all the Cali schools. If I could keep her here at her school and figure something out, I would in a heartbeat. But right
Right.
now, LSU, that's what I got. That's
Yeah.
that's my for sure thing. So like if something else pop up, we got till August. So it's May, June, July. I got 3. It's like 2 months of some change. Anything
Yeah.
can happen. God can open up any door. You never know. But if that's where God want me to go, then that's where I'm gonna go. If that's where my journey is meant to prosper, then that's where I'm gonna go. It's
Yeah.
whatever God want for my life. That's I'm gonna be the vessel and go ahead and do it.
Yeah, no, LSU is a good school. An MFA. Yeah, the big thing with an MFA is you can actually you actually are supposed to like finish it, but with writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
So and that process, I have a few friends who've gotten MFAs. They really do like that process. Yeah, I I might show this video to somebody who might. I have a friend who's a documentary. He makes documentaries, and he teaches, and he might have advice for you. Let me send him. I'll send him this video and see what he thinks. And he might be. He's a really good guy. He might have good advice for you. But no,
So
I mean,
where the video gonna be at? It's made in StreamYard and it's gonna be on something else, or
oh,
StreamYard
right now it's on. So with StreamYard, I'm streaming right now to Twitch, to Twitter, and YouTube.
Yo, shout out Twitch. Yo, it's some e-girls in there. Hey, shout out Twitch. It's some furries in there. Where the furries at? You know what I'm saying? Shout out Twitch.
I don't get many people watching on Twitch. Usually it's 1 or 2, but some of the most interesting people I've met have been through Twitch.
Hey, mark my word, I'm gonna meet a Kick or a Twitch streamer that's big this year. Mark my word, and they're gonna have me on a stream, and it's gonna be me and my brother, and we gonna do something crazy. Like it's gonna go viral. Watch, mark my word. It's gonna be some Island Boys level viral. You know what I'm saying?
So are you on were you streaming on Instagram or TikTok, or what was it that you were initially?
I did my second live recently and it got taken down. I'm banned off live to the 14th because my live was titled "I Stand with Israel," and I didn't know you need moderators when you go live on TikTok. I didn't realize like they'll report your stuff and get it taken down. So somebody just gave me an extra backup page. I'm gonna go live soon. I gotta make that page my page and re-put in the new information, and I'm gonna be able to go live soon off of there.
Yeah. So StreamYard. I mean, you can stream to one place from StreamYard, one destination for free.
Mm-hmm.
I have the tricked out account. Well, not the tricked out account. Like I have the maximum account you can have without paying them like $5,000 a year.
They getting paid. They got a $5,000 subscription. They getting paid.
Oh, and it's really nice, but like I can't afford that. But I'm paying something like I think $100 a month, and because I have 15 admins, I have like all kinds of the bells and whistles. I can stream to eight different places at once. But the big thing for me with StreamYard was it's really powerful the way it works. Like I can put things up like that, right, from people's comments, and also the link. Like I just posted the link publicly, and people can come in here like Andrew did. Andrew's a friend of mine. He comes on a lot, but like anybody with that link can come in, and you can have them on. So I'm a huge fan of StreamYard. Yeah, I mean, I think you could do really well because you're talented. You have a really interesting story. You're quick. So Yeah, and frankly, I mean, you're in Los Angeles. You're pretty close. I would love to meet up with you and
Yeah, I'm
actually,
down.
you
I'm
know,
down.
yeah, talk and stuff. I live Sepulveda and National, right down the street from you. So
Oh, what? That's you right there.
yeah, yeah. So and I'm a very public person. Like my if you can't find my cell phone number on the internet, you're just dumb.
Right.
Because all you have to do is Google my name and you can find my cell phone number. And that's fine because I like meeting people and I'm not, I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. So it's just me. And it's like,
You was dodging bullets like the Matrix onward.
who's gonna bother with me?
Man, hey, you ain't don't worry, you ain't missing out on nothing but some hella responsibility. You ain't missing out on nothing.
So my friend CW likes to make fun of me because I love Outback Steakhouse.
Okay, that's the turn up.
I like Outback Steakhouse. CW is like this really she white guy. He's the whitest guy you've ever met. He's got like 5 names, that type of guy. And so he laughs that I go to Outback Steakhouse, but I like steak.
I like the wings from Hooters. That's what I like. I like the wings at Hooters. I heard the uniforms are pretty crazy too.
At Hooters, yeah. I think most people go for the white meat, not for the wings.
100.
Yeah. So was there anything you wanted to talk about? You wanted to ask about? You wanted to tell people about?
Oh man, they've been having me on so many things back to back to back. I think I done said everything in the encyclopedia and the dictionary this week. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I just wanted to show some love. You know what I'm saying? When people reach out to me, if they offer me to come on to whatever they got, I'll make an appearance. I try to answer all my DMs. I try to respond to as many comments as I can. I didn't have any platform whatsoever just a week ago, so I'm just thankful that anybody's even showing me some love. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just blessed to be showing up in spaces like this, and I hope I could keep networking, keep meeting people, and get myself out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, your Twitter account. I mean, you're up to what, like 6,000 or something?
Yeah. The last time I had a Twitter that had any followers, it got deleted because I was criticizing Mitchell Farrell during that Echo Park Lake thing, and I was living in East Hollywood, and Twitter was under different management back then, and it was very opposite of what it is today, and I was the opposite of what I am today, so I was still going against the wrong side, and I got my page taken down. So I'm glad to have a page that's popping now, and I'm glad to have other socials that I could network and interact with people. And I'm just trying to avoid the influencer curse, where you a nobody, you become a somebody, and then you get on there being a little too chill, you get canceled because you being too chill. You got to be a little politically correct these days. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, okay, so I'll tell you. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my big thing is if you make real connections with people, if it's not just internet connections, like Andrew's been to my house, right? Like you make actual connections. I drove all the way to Minnesota and back, to meet people. And if you make real connections that last, it doesn't matter if they ban your channel or not. And frankly, I mean, obviously you don't want, now you have a channel going and stuff. Also, you might want to do something more, 2-layered, where you have like a Discord server, like I do. So for me, my Discord server is a big thing. Where on the Discord server you can be a little bit more,
right. Hold on one second.
Talk about stuff and.
Hello? Yo, what's good, bro?
I'm just gonna mute you right now so that people don't hear you talking on the phone. And maybe we will have a little Outback meetup and see if Milagro wants to come. But yeah, I don't know if people have questions for Milagro. Should I ask? I'll ask CW's question. If people want to jump on to talk to Milagro or me, I think he's gonna have to go soon. But Yeah, this was an awesome conversation. Let me unmute you.
Yo, somebody said American fiction. All right, so check it out. I don't know what American fiction is, but I'm in an English class right now called Theory of the Novel. And the professor, like, he told me I need to code switch more because I was being too cool. I was like, yo, introduce yourself. And I'm like, yo, my name is Milagro. You got to give like your background. I'm like, I'm just a nigga from the streets. And they like, he got mad, like, how are you gonna say nigga? And you know that's a word that we're not able to say. And then, like, whenever I said something else, he said something about yeah, that's like American fiction, and I'm like, it got to be a black person in American fiction that's doing English because he just tried to flip. You know what I'm saying? So
I haven't seen the movie, and CW is from Minneapolis, but yeah, I haven't seen the movie, but yeah, I mean, code switching. Look, you have to code switch when
nah.
you.
So I'm blessed that Jody Amore, who's a law professor at USC, published a book called Nigga Theory, and I'm blessed that all my professors so far at UCLA have all my professors have, like, except maybe one or two, have made us read books that had the N word with the hard R that were written by white authors. So there's no way they can tell me that I can't say nigga as long as I'm not calling anyone else that could get offended. If I'm saying it about myself and that's my identity, if that's my identity, then that'd be like telling someone else they can't be proud of their identity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you. And I actually knew Jody Armour when I was at USC. But I never was actually a big fan of his. But you're no, I mean, I hear you, but people, I mean, I think people will selective prosecution, right? They will decide, oh, you don't get to do that, right?
Right.
And yeah, so sometimes, I mean, look, life is hard, and figuring out where the sweet spot is, where you can still be heard and express yourself, and yet not get completely shut down. It's great. I mean, yeah, Twitter changing has made it a lot more possible to have that difference.
Yeah, real talk.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about Minneapolis at all? It's up to you.
Yeah. So Minneapolis was the first place I ever got arrested. When I was about 11, me and my friend Keith, we went to the park to go play like live action role playing, LARPing, role playing, like being little wizards and fairies and whatnot with the girls and the boys, and everybody else there was white except us. We both was mixed, and it's a public park, but people started, calling the police. They came, they told us that me and him wasn't welcome. They took us in handcuffs. They took us in handcuffs, put us in their patrol cars, and drove us back home to our families. And that was the first place I started experiencing racial profiling. I actually lived in a neighborhood where the riots went down, where they burned the police station. Like, that was the police station that I went to when my bike got stolen. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, I got jumped into a gang for the first time there. I used to bare knuckle box on the side of the apartment every day. It was the most diverse city I've ever been to. Like, on the block I stayed on, it was black people in the building, Hmong people in the building, Somalians. I learned how to rollerblade there from this dude named Omar. I had a friend named Andrew Scott Kramer, whose dad owned a store called Northern Sun. He used to take us out to his parents' cabin. They had a cabin like in northern Minnesota somewhere. We would play Risk, the board game, and we would Minneapolis, that was probably the last place I had like some real pure naivety of life. Like, it felt real innocent. There was some crazy stuff happening, but I love Minneapolis. I worked hard to get into a good high school there that had all different language programs and stuff. I probably would have had a good life if I stayed there, but my dad's girlfriend was a crackhead, so she stole all his money. Cleared out my brother's account to go on a binge, and he lost his house by that happening. And so then I ended up having to leave. And yeah, I mean, I missed that place. I used to love that place. Like, it was a beautiful place. You got his ups and downs. I used to hike there. I used to ride bikes. I was in good. I had a good time. It was good times in Minneapolis. That was the spot. I love Minneapolis. Plus Prince is from Minneapolis. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good vibes. You know what I'm saying? Minneapolis is great.
Yeah. So Max is another Oh no, this is a different Max. I thought it was one of our Maxes here in Los Angeles. But he says, in the spirit of peace and love, can you all steel man the protesters? I'm sorry, I can't. No, they're just wrong.
What is steel man?
Oh, so that's the opposite of straw manning, right? So straw manning is when you take somebody's position and you say it in a way that it's like obviously wrong. And so steel man is when you try to find what's the strongest way of expressing somebody's position that might actually be even stronger than how they themselves do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, look, when you have, so I'm Jewish, but I was very prominent. I was very active, not prominent, but active in the anti-Zionist movement because I am very critical of Israel, and anybody who watches my channel sees that I am very, very critical of the state of Israel, of everything that's going on there, right? Mm-hmm. But that shouldn't be an excuse for anti-Semitism. That shouldn't be an excuse, right? So, like, I'm critical of Saudi Arabia. I'm critical of Iran. That doesn't mean that I want, millions of people in Iran to die or to be thrown out of their country or, stuff like that.
Right.
And the fact is that the protests, and I've made several videos, these protests, because of their anti-Semitism, are actually hurting the anti-Zionist cause, right? And you have people like me who would be proud anti-Zionists if it were not for the anti-Semitism. But I can't get involved in anti-Semitism. I mean, that would just be dumb of me.
Right. I was never called a Zionist before the protest. And now I own multiple Zionist shirts. I will be releasing a song called Zionist soon. Yeah. I sell my own Zionist shirt on Etsy. I'm trying to fix my Etsy store right now because I don't know how to use it, and I'm trying to get the shipping and things correct. But yeah, I mean, if you was anti-Zionist, don't just know the protesters just created the ultimate Zionist. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, seriously, for me, it's been very similar. When I was listening to you, I was hearing what you were saying, and these people are hurting. Like, look, I have a lot of complaints about the state of Israel. As a Jewish person, because I have family there, I've been there. I lived there for a year when I was in school. But when you turn into this crazy like anti-Zionist and you're asking people, I always said, if they ever start rounding up Muslims, they're gonna have to round me up because I'm gonna say I'm a Muslim, right? And same thing with, and that's what it sounded to me like you were saying is like when they came around and said, "Hey, are you a Zionist? You don't get to walk into Powell Library." You're like, "Yeah, I'm a Zionist."
Right, exactly.
The
big Z.
Yeah, if that's what you're gonna do, and so I mean, honestly, when it comes down to it, these protesters, while you can possibly try to find a good way, but these aren't the people who are representing the best in actually trying to help the Palestinians. Right. I actually feel bad for, like, there's 1 million children in Gaza, 1 million children under the age of 14. Okay.
Yep.
Like, none of those kids are responsible. And yeah, there's bombs going off all over the place. There's shootings. There's people, like, it's a horrible situation. And no child under the age of 14 deserves to be like living in a situation like that. But what I found is the people who claim that they care about the kids, as opposed to saying, "Oh, you know what? We need to get the kids out of there," right? Or saying, "Hey, Hamas needs to surrender," and so that this isn't going on. They're like, No, somebody on Twitter today was like, yeah, we want Hamas to fight back so it protects the kids. And I'm like, you think these idiots sending rockets into Israel that isn't going to hit shit, right? That isn't actually doing anything other than, like, one of their rockets landed in Gaza and killed a bunch of people.
Damn, that's crazy.
Right? And it's like, you obviously don't care about the kids in Gaza.
Right.
And so how am I going to steel man you? How am I going to, like, you're just using like 1 million kids. That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of young kids. Right? And they're in a horrible situation. And in most places, when there's a war, we say, let's get the refugees out of there.
Right.
But that's not, nobody's saying that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to keep you too long. This was an awesome discussion. You have my contact information. If you ever want to hang out or you ever want to join my stuff on please do.
Yeah. If you want some over the National, I know it's a Starbucks right there, a little bagel place over there. Let's kick it sometime.
Yeah, please. Yeah, this is where I live. Yeah, Sepulveda and National. So I'm right by you.
Cool.
Yeah, and you have my cell phone number. You have all my details. And actually, we're thinking of doing something in Los Angeles Sunday, May 26th.
Okay, cool.
It's Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
So, like, I think Andrew will be there, and I have a little group of people here in Los Angeles where we meet up and talk and stuff. And yeah, you're definitely welcome. You're definitely welcome.
For sure. All right, man. Somebody just booked me for a show to perform on the 16th, a 25-minute set. So I gotta go find 25 minutes worth of music that I'm gonna perform real quick. You know what I'm saying?
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna end the stream.